him on his phone because his phone. So I'm gonna.
Okay.
Okay. So it's getting ready to take a slide, Jackie. I'm looking at it on this end.
All right. I'm over there too. All right. Um, let me just tell
Okay.
you real quick. I'm sorry, I don't know your names.
Name is Cornell.
And
Cornell and
Cornell,
Renee.
And
Pleased to
Renice.
meet you. Renice. I'm gonna duck out. I'm not gonna be here. But if there's any problems coming up, I'll be listening behind the scenes. So if you have any issues or if anything comes up, it's not a problem. I'll be right here, okay?
We got them
Just
double,
holler at me.
Jackie. We got them double.
Oh,
I'm about to get off.
okay. All
Okay.
right.
There we go. There we go. Okay. So we live, y'all. How you doing, Braxton? How you doing? So we live now. So I want to go on and welcome you guys on, and I've been doing a lot of promotion about you guys coming on tonight and sharing y'all's journey about how y'all got to this little fella that's sitting on your lap there. A lot of people are interested in what I had spoken briefly with your husband about the process. And here's the thing: some people, they have daughters and their spouses who are trying to have kids, and they're one of the things of it is that they're having problem. I guess it costs a lot of money to go through the process. I'm not for sure, but I know you guys are going to come on and be talking about that on tonight, along with some other things that you might want to share. So keep in mind that these interviews are heard not just in the United States, they're heard outside of the country. We have listeners in Russia, we have listeners in the UK, so but their time is different from ours. So they will see it when we're off and done. But they will see the video. So that's why we try to make sure we got all the technical stuff in place. Okay? So y'all hear me pretty good? Y'all hear me pretty
We
good?
can.
Okay. So I'm
Yes.
going to, at this point, just kind of let you guys start talking. And y'all may talk about some other things outside of Mr. Braxton, but that's good too, because y'all got 50 minutes that we gonna be on here, and we don't have no commercials. So if you get stuck, we'll help you get unstuck. Miss Sarah is gonna come back in at some point, and she'll be joining the conversation as well. As you know, when y'all are talking, might be some things, some red lights that go off in her head to say, "Oh, let me ask about this." Different things. But you got viewers who this is an information podcast, so we don't. It's unscripted. It don't have no script. You just come on and tell your story, okay? So I'm gonna turn it over to you guys now. Y'all ready? Let's go.
Sure. So far as an introduction, I'm Renice. This is my husband Cornell. We're the Browns.
Okay.
Baby Brex.
Yes.
He'll remember. We do have a 18-year-old daughter, Brooklyn. She's at work right now. Um, I'll let Cornell start with his part of our journey.
Okay.
Married what, 8 years now?
8 years.
Together for 10.
All right.
I'll let our whole journey with Breck start. And I want to let you talk about all of it, but you started off
Start it off. Okay.
with
Well, beginning. Well, for me,
Uh-huh.
Cornell always loved the kids.
Yes.
But around age 22, 23, I used to get my guard babies a lot.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, uh, I wanted to see, if I can have any kids or not.
Yeah.
At that time, I ended up going to a doctor before I met my wife, and 2004, maybe. And when I went to the doctor, no man wants to that I would have difficulties trying to conceive a child.
Okay.
And that's kind of word I'm looking for, mind-boggling, like upset maybe.
Discouraged.
To me, like that. Yeah. So, I ain't gonna say that because I just felt like, that at that time I was really into, like, I now had faith. Like I said, well, ain't nothing too small or big for God,
Yes.
So what happened was as time went on, like I never ended up never having a child.
Yes.
So fast forward to maybe since 2013, maybe 2013.
I think it was probably, we got married in 2013, so maybe like beginning of 2013 or something like that. I think he ended up going to a fertility specialist because I had transferred. Well, let me go back a little bit. In between time, so for me, whenever me and Cornell, when we got together, he was telling me he wanted. I already had a daughter. At the time, I was 8 or 10, and so I was like, no, I was like, I think at the time I might have been like 35. I can't remember actually the exact age. The AMA, which is advanced maternal age, and I was like, oh no, I don't want anyone kids at that time. And I just told him, I said, if it happens, it happens. If it's meant to be, it'll be meant to be. But we continued to try, never got pregnant. So then, where you guys going?
I'm gonna take me to bed.
You gonna?
Go ahead.
So, but I said if it was meant to be, and not doing any kind of fertility stuff or anything like that, because I know what it takes to be nurtured. I've heard the stories, and patients saying that they sold their house and moved to an apartment. They worked, jobs, and they took out their retirement. They used all their savings. They took out loans, all those things, and I didn't want to do that, So after that, maybe put on and just make it silent. But then after that, we were like, okay, I think he had gone to the urologist, and they did some same, pretty much the same results he got previously before we got together. I mean, they probably were a little bit worse, but pretty much the same.
It was more like low sperm count.
Okay.
The motility of it, movement of it was not moving. A lot of different things that it got worse than, like, maybe I had a low count, then it was lower than when it was before, to the single digit.
Okay.
That are millions now. So that probably was even more discouraging, but never lost faith, always, even though at this time was like she said, this is in our third this time, and so like a thing like she was saying that we wasn't supposed about to pull out retirement. We wasn't about to just empty our savings. And this time we like faith in God, and then
so then. We went to the doctor, and she was like, it's going to cost about probably $13,000 or $14,000 or something like that to just get started. Because insurance usually doesn't cover fertility treatments. And so, like I said before, we're going to pull out our retirement, to get some money.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I was also in the process of looking for another job also.
Okay.
So in the meantime of us, about to pull out our savings or retirement, whatever we needed to do at the time, I was looking for, I think I applied for the job on probably a Sunday, and I think they called me on Wednesday for an interview, and by Friday, I was hired.
Okay.
So then after, going through the new employee orientation, they said that benefits was that they offered fertility insurance. As far as, and that's through Texas Children's.
Okay.
And they give their employees a $20,000 fertility benefit. So every year they cover $20,000 for fertility. And so, it just have to pull out our savings, retirement, like whatever we needed to do, we didn't have to do that. So I ended up taking the job. And at the time, it wasn't that much more than I was making, at Clear Lake, but Cornell was like, don't worry about it. Cause I was like, oh, it's in the medical center. I'm gonna have to drive, gotta pay for parking. And he was like, oh, don't worry about it. We need to go for the insurance so we can try to have a baby. So, I took like I said, it wasn't less, but still, it was just the point. I was happy where I was at one point, and then it was close to my house.
Yes.
And I was go ahead and go.
Yes.
And so then after we went, the process, it's a strenuous process.
Can you talk about that? Can you talk about that? The strenuous part of it, because there are people who are dealing with it that I have already talked to. That's why it's so important to have you guys on too, because people, I can't understand their frustration with it. So, but there are people who are listening just like me that need to understand it, because it's their actual family that's going through this. So the depression, did y'all have any of that?
Oh, I definitely did. For me, I think most of it usually is on the female, because all the man has to do is provide the sperm sample, basically. Okay. And everything else on the female, regardless if it's the female that has a little issue or not. Is the female, because how it starts out, they have to regulate everything. So basically it's like, the way that they schedule the medication, anything that they do is like they're creating your body. They're making your body function this way so they can control everything, because it's a old setting. So, at first I had to, initially they do, testing, kind of like I say, it's like more of a primer type thing, where they, your uterus, your tubes, all those things are functioning. Okay. Any little thing. I had to end up doing it's called a DNC, where they go in and kind of scrape the inside of the uterus. And that was because maybe some placenta, particles possibly left over. So they wanted a clean slate, because they didn't want anything to reject the embryo. So, and, then I had to be on birth control pills for so long so they could regulate my cycles. And then we had to do patches in addition to patches, and you had a calendar. And the calendar kind of laid out everything. It had times on it, what you do in the morning, what you do in the evening. I had to set my telephone alarm so I could take medications. If we went out to eat, I had to take those. And you have to think about it. They're giving you all these hormones, right? Up and down, up and down. So that's going to make you irritable. It's going to make you irritable. It's going to make you have hot flashes. It's going to make you angry. Like, it's going to do all of those things, and it's so much. It causes,
so it's like a
anxiety.
roller coaster. You would say it's like more like a roller coaster.
Down, up, down. That's how your hormones are, because one day you may be taking this level, then you may be lower dose, and then you have to go in every 2 days, and they're drawing your labs every 2 days. You're getting ultrasounds. Like, your life is disrupted, basically.
Okay.
Work, and they'll say, well, you need to be here at this time to do this and be here at this time to do that. So it was demanding. For me, like, I would get times because I felt like I'm doing all of this, and I understood the process, and that it was the sacrifice that I was making for us.
Yes.
My husband, he wanted a child,
right.
And he was like, I've been praying for a child. I think at the time for how many years? 20 years or something like that.
20.
And I mean, we had to do it. Like, I had to, to do that, because he's my husband. We're one. Right. We need to sacrifice each other. So that's what I, But like I said, it would be moments where I would get depressed. I would get angry. I would get mad at him. And as far as the, with the medications, I think, in addition to the whole like process of it,
yes,
I would. And then I'm like, don't you know, as far as like the medication, they make you go to camp.
Okay, y'all.
Sorry.
Y'all, that's okay.
But they make you go to counseling prior to.
Yeah.
It's like a,
So what is the counseling for? What is the counseling for?
Process the mood swings, telling the husband.
This have to happen.
Expect this,
So you picture a lion, a tiger that she's gonna be hollering at you. It's a lot.
So as a couple, I'm just talking because I'm asking the questions that the people not on here to ask y'all. Like, say if I was going through that and my husband, how important is him to understand my emotions, and then how important would it be for me to understand emotionally, because he wanted a child so bad, how it's impacting him on a scale from 1 to 10. 1 being the least, 10 being the most crucial.
A 10 because I don't,
she need that support.
You have to have like support, So, like I said, like sometimes Cornell, he didn't understand.
I didn't understand it at first.
Even though, we were going through this. And I think it took later after really seeing, everything that had to go through, I'm
talking about, when she say later on, I'm talking about maybe today.
Like after, after
Braxton. It was like, I was like,
really see the,
as me go and like research things and look at things, like, that support then more than ever. Like it was. That's why I call her the MVP.
But it did,
yes.
At some point, relationship, because you're like, I'm doing all this, and then you just want to quit if you don't get the support. If you feel like you're not getting the support, sacrificing so much.
So let me back up a little bit. When you were saying, and you kind of got cut out a little bit. What I was hearing you saying, you was talking about the huge impact that it had by not understanding. Is that what you were saying? You got cut out, so I was trying to understand. What were you saying previously?
You said about the impact that what?
The understanding, how you said, like, how it impacted y'all's relation, how it can impact your relationship if your spouse don't fully understand your emotions. I think that's what you were saying.
And that it puts a strain on you.
Yeah.
But some people, don't have support when they go through this.
Oh, no.
Most of the time, more so the women who have fertility issues, So some, and I'm just going by kind of like the patients that I've patients that I've taken care of, they really don't get support from the spouse. It's more so their sister or their mom or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
But for me, at some point, it was just, you know, we have a goal and we're trying to get a baby, you know, and my baby. So I just did what I needed to do. I mean, I've been through things that are more difficult than this.
Yeah.
It was just a process I go through, but now I feel like it was meant to be, like the way that it was, just so maybe now that we show love a different, you know, differently.
You
like,
more appreciative
I feel like,
of one another.
Yes. Yeah. And, you know, different times that we've experienced different levels, I guess, of love in our relationship, you know? If I'm
You're right.
Appreciates me more than he did at that point. Like he's just now really, but I went through and with my body, I gained like 20 pounds just from doing the fertility, you know,
not even,
and 30 pounds or so, you know, with the pregnancy.
Yeah.
So,
you know, and hearing and seeing the both of you sitting there together and talking about this, because it's a hard subject for a lot of people to even just want to talk about, because sometimes I've heard people say it didn't work out the first time and they keep trying. I actually worked with a lady that her sister literally, what you were saying earlier, that's what I'm coming to. It ended up, her sister and them were doing it, you know, and her and her husband both had, you know, these really good jobs like lawyers and stuff like that. But the support for her was not there. So you all talking about it, it makes me understand it more, like, wow. Because my thing is, I think both of y'all want a child, how he can't support you. That was my thing. When it was told to me, I'm like, how do you do that? Because didn't both of them want a child? And her thing was just what you said. It was mainly her providing the support to her sister, and it didn't work on the second time. And her sister literally had a nervous breakdown. You guys are really clearing some things up for me. So, you know, and I could imagine everybody don't get in the chat section, because we have a lot of older people that listen and they don't know how to chat. But I get the conversations from them on my phone, or, you know, if I see them somewhere, they'll say, you know, like, and I'm like, glad that you had that discussion on the podcast. So
I want to pop in and say something. Electra knows I was married once upon a time, and before we got married, I thought we had all the essential discussions. You know, what do you want from life? And we talked about kids, and we talked about the possibility that we might have to either be tested or go through in vitro or possibly even adoption. And for me, that was a game changer. I wouldn't marry somebody who didn't want kids. Then after we got married, and, you know, we did try to get pregnant, and then it didn't happen. So I went and got tested, and the doctor said, well, it won't be easy because, you know, some physical conditions, but it's possible. So we need to test your husband. So I went to make an appointment for him, and he refused.
Oh,
and
wow.
The long and short of it is, I'm not married to him.
Yeah.
I because for me that was a game changer. Like you, Cornell, that was, I wanted to have a child. Now Electra knows that I feel now that I have 4,000 of them. A few too many, but of that 4,000, I'm close to maybe 20. And I do feel like I've been a mother figure, but it was that important to me. And it's so good to, I can't even say the mental part of me of relief of hearing a man say, I want to be a father. And to believe in that and to believe in your relationship. I just wanted to throw that out there because I know there are a lot of other women out there in my same boat. That was a game changer for me. I would not have married a man who didn't want children. And then to find out that he didn't want children because he didn't want to do the work. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that in there. Thank you for sharing.
Stay here, Jackie. Cornell, let me ask you this question as a male. You know, what do you feel is a huge issue with men who don't want to support having a child and their wife having to go through something like this? I'm just asking your view from a male perspective because males will see this video as well.
Well, I think it's more that they don't know, or it's a lot
of. I'm sorry.
It's a lot of or either even okay. So I've been researching relationships. This has something to do with what I'm about to say. And in the relationship, that stuff called his needs and her needs, right?
Yes.
And I ended up picking up something that was said on the I think it was a podcast or either it was I
think it was just an interview.
An interview maybe. Guy said for 17, well, when he was young, his mom used to yell at his dad, right? And he ended up picking up that behavior. And for 17 relationship with his wife, he yelled and done. But after 10 years after she ended up, hey, they went to counseling, I want to say. And he was like, hey, I was and he said, I didn't know. Like for 7 years, he didn't know what he was saying to his wife was making her afraid. Sometimes it's best if you talk about it. When I say talk, sometimes as spouse, as a male or female, we demand things, you know, like when you ask somebody, take from me. But as in how we talk to one another, and we can important. Like I didn't know that my wife was having our son, and she was different. I would say that.
Hormones were a little bit.
Not having a baby. I'm sorry, but she was pregnant with the baby. Her moods. I didn't know all this. Even though you hear, that, but you don't hold it of intent because when you don't understand. I learned this probably 2 weeks ago, or maybe almost. I've been listening.
Maybe earlier today, a little bit. Yeah.
Like I'm telling you, if you want to have a better relationship with your spouse, I'm staying on spouse. You have to learn or know your spouse that she needs support. She needs support in this. The spouse needs to tell her husband, "Hey, I need support."
And that's what I was going to say too. Because I feel like sometimes as you're married, you think you think be here
can see that's true.
When all you're supposed to do is just say it, and a lot of times you don't say it, and then you get mad, and then kind of cuts off that communication. Like, well, I'm not going to say anything. If he can't come to my visit, or he can't do this for me, then I'm not going to say anything. We don't know, you know. Sometimes you just don't. They just don't know.
And then it get worse. It get worse. She ain't saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm let it be that be. And then y'all end up getting back to normal again. But that discussion never comes up.
Yeah. You know, I want to tell you that you just opened my eyes. I've been divorced for 35 years. just opened my eyes. Like I said, we talked about all this before we got married, but I realize now I talked about all this before we got married. And he said,
Yep. That's, yeah. Because I say this all the time. If when you hear something, like I might hear a noise, hey, what was that noise? And then you be like, let me listen. Oh, that's rain. We hear something, but we're not listening.
Yeah.
You take your time as someone that's just only hearing, you gotta listen.
Yeah.
Because a big noise, boom. Like, what was that?
Yeah.
At the news, plant exploded.
Yeah.
So we have to start listening to the stuff and just hearing.
That's true.
Because you can hear it.
I'm not apologizing to him. I just want you to know he's still a bum, but that's a different story. Okay.
This is just so amazing to see you guys sitting there, and I'm getting ready to go into another question here because I want it's for both of you to answer and share with us. I look at a lot of young people who are having babies, and they're not having any problems. They're young. They're young, coming out 17, 18 years of age. And the reason why I bring that up is because they don't know that part of when a couple is really together and have to struggle to get what they just went out there and done it, and then don't take care of that responsibility. And I got you guys here as a couple that, we're talking about marriage as well. You can't talk about children without talking about the marriage. And I want to hear it from both of you. What do y'all feel like needs to be said, needs to be shared with these young men and young women who just really don't understand that part of life is one day those kids are gonna grow up and they're gonna look for some answers of what family means. And you might didn't have to go through what Mr. and Ms. Brown went through because you just had children. But they don't learn the respect of, and the reason why I bring this about because there's a lot, I don't know if y'all have noticed, especially with the pandemic, there's a lot of young people experiencing depression and anxiety. It's enormous. Can y'all talk? Give us some feedback on that. What y'all's views are.
Well, I wanted to say this by myself. I don't want to get off with the question. Remember the question, but
okay.
As a young man, when I was coming up, I had a lot of anger in me,
Okay.
And it's they could have that problem.
Okay.
So as a child, I ended up growing up with my grandparents.
Okay.
And I knew they were my grandparents. Some kids, sometimes they don't know. They think they're their mom. I knew they were my grandparents because they was younger at the time.
Uh-huh.
And I knew I had a mom.
Uh-huh.
All that. And me being angry as a child, because I always wanted to be with her and my siblings. Yeah. And I felt like I was, word I can use.
Isolated.
I wasn't wanted. That's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say that. That's how I felt.
Unwanted. Okay.
I was really, as a young person, I was mad, angry. It might not be my story, but somebody else have a story.
Yeah.
So I was angry. Why? I have multiple women.
Uh-huh.
I used to have, I felt like this woman satisfied me this way, this woman satisfied me that way.
But see, you're talking about, now you're in the head, you're right, you are answering the question. Because I feel like this is what's going on with a lot of these young boys. They're trying to
Yeah.
find themselves inside these girls. Go ahead, Bernice.
I think that's what girls too. I was gonna say that I feel like the girls are looking for something. A lot of both boys and girls, a lot of them are from single parent homes. Pretty much the woman is raising these children.
Yes.
So a lot of times the mom works full time. They don't, there's no communication with the kids, and they're seeking love, and that's the way that they feel like somebody's showing them love. They get a little attention, and there you go.
Yeah.
So like starts at home, and I just feel like the more involved in their kids' life.
Yes.
But
True, ain't it? But for my experience, to tell you how I felt, and as time went by, and don't get me wrong, having a baby, I feel like has even pulled me and my mom together closer than ever. We talk almost every day. I love hearing her voice. She love hearing my voice. So I'm so grateful. Like even us going on that journey for us to have a child, it made the relationship better.
Yes.
Made me and my mom better. It just made me man, as in like going to course before we even had a child, just praying, say, hey God, can you help me with this? To the young people, that's like, if you have a relationship with God, I just tell you, I prayed that angry. I was angry at like people in my life that like I felt abandoned me. And I felt like as long as I had that anger, I was always nothing was right. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't getting results that I wanted or needed. So kid you not, when my wife helped me she helped me. That's why I say she helped me.
Yes. Yes.
A counselor counseling me and her. And when the counselor told me one thing that made me change my whole thinking of everything negative I've been in my life. She said, hurt people hurt people.
That's right.
She said that
So true.
that took me. And I said, you know what? I gotta do better.
Yes.
I ain't saying I did it like I said 2 weeks ago. I learned something with me that's about something here, but at the same time, I started noticing like, man, if I release this and give it to God and pray more and do these different things, things come out. And right after I did that, a year later, my wife ended up getting pregnant.
That's all right.
And had to relieve things that was holding me back, get something positive, and that they might have something that's holding them back from going to the next level. Because I'm telling you now, if we don't look up or look at another, we look at the wrong place, and we also, like you said, depression. It's real.
Real.
I feel like
it's real.
I was my wife would go in the room away from her, would isolate myself. Didn't even know what I was doing. Like, and everybody know I've been married before. I did the same thing. I would isolate myself, or quiet, or shut down, or don't say nothing, angry, something like that. I did that with her. I was doing the same things. I'm not saying I'm doing most of the same thing I did in my first marriage and my second marriage.
Yeah.
And I said, I got to do different. Today, I'm still learning to do something different because I wanted to get better and better each day.
You want to grow with your spouse. You want to grow with your spouse. And y'all have such a strong foundation. And I feel like you guys are a power couple. And when I say that, people think when you say power couple, you got to talk about celebrities or people with money. No. To me, a power couple is what you guys represent. Because you know that you went through things in the past, but you bring in those things together to get to that next calling, that next journey in life, but you're doing it together. And my late husband would say, a man needs to just do some pop-up things sometimes. Everything don't have to be schedule. If something wrong with that woman, if that woman is hurting, now he's saying this to me, and he said, if you hurting, I'm the CEO. I'm supposed to fix that. I'm supposed to fix that. When I took you on, I was saying to God and the people that witnessed it, was that I got enough to take care of myself and you. You work because you want to work. You don't work because you have to work. And I'm going to love you the rest of my life. I don't know how much life I got left in me, but for the rest of my life, I'm going to love you. And if you are not better than when I first married you, you don't have no business with me. See, if that's what makes you guys a power couple, because you are realizing that together we got this. We two imperfect people, but we serve a perfect God. Two imperfect people gonna fall short sometime. You gonna make some errors sometime. But one thing about it, you not gonna let life rip you apart. So, something else that he told me is a man when he's looking for a woman. Renice, he just looking on the outside. He just looking because she can dress up and she can wear those clothes that size 2 and 4 and 6. And see, he just looking for a woman. But when he started looking for a wife, he's looking up in here. So you was looking for a wife. That's why you sitting on the side of that woman right there, right now. That's just my sermon for today.
I want to throw something in here just because I think it needs to be said. It is so important not just to talk to God, but to listen to God.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Because sometimes the answer is no.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And for me, if I had children, I wouldn't have 4,000 of them. Mm-hmm. It's just the way it goes. I wouldn't have these 20 that after years and years and years still come to me.
That's right.
And ask me, help me decide. They may be 40 years old now, but they come to me.
Yes.
And they say, tell me, help me. If I had children, the answer was no. But the answer was no for a reason. And I think for you, Cornell and Renice, when you were praying and you were talking to God about your issues, you were listening. Mm-hmm. You were listening individually and as a couple.
Right.
Because you had to both be focused on that goal. Mm-hmm. You had to both be focused on that goal. Mm-hmm. And God knew that. And
I think too, because we, with Braxton, he was our last, we put last 2 embryos in. We did our transfer with the last 2. Mm-hmm. At that point, we were like, if this doesn't take, then we're done. Mm-hmm. We're not gonna. And with this one, like I told you, how you had to schedule the medication for this. It was so many times that I missed medication. One time I was on my way to the doctor and Cornell just having me at home. I'm like, I forgot my medicine. So he had to come meet me, bring the medicine, and I'm like, gosh, it's work. I said, the time's off. And I think because we took that stress out of it, I'm kind of like, if it's meant to be, it'll be. If God wants a baby, it'll be. And then I feel like it was so many other things that we needed to deal with prior to getting baby, like, get out of debt, to be debt free, all type of things. And things that we needed to work on, we were able to do. And then it's like, okay, now you're ready, to have a new life into your life.
Yeah. So, yeah, definitely.
How many times did y'all try? How many times did y'all?
We did a total of.
This is the thing. This is
5.
We did 2, 3, 1.
I think it was 4 transfers. But But you know the thing is with that.
And we had 7 embryos, right? I want you. This is the story I tell people.
What is embryos?
Embryos.
Fertilized eggs.
What turns into the fetus? So it's the sperm and the egg,
Comes
and
together.
that makes the embryo, which is going to be
The
eventually
baby.
the baby.
Oh, okay. Hey, I don't know. I ask questions. Go ahead.
And well, anyway, we ended up having 7 embryos. And remember, the Bible, the number 7 is perfection. He rests on the 7th day. It always 7 is a.
It all comes together. Yeah.
They grade them. You got your best ones, 1 through 7.
Okay.
The worst one.
Yeah.
The worst one took. That's what you see in the room right now. The worst. And
That Braxton.
the worst. Yeah.
Braxton.
So when people say it might not be good for God. This one here, even though we thought the first one was the best one,
Right.
he made the last one that man thought was the bad one. He made that one good.
That's all right there. You still should be saying, "Oh we." Oh we.
Get a message and the doctor say, hey, it's gonna be hard for you to have a baby. Hey, or you can't have, and then you get only 7 embryos. Well, not 7 embryos. Hey, this the best ones now. This the best one here. But hey, the last one is the worst one. So he took all that and made Braxton. And then all worked. And the thing about it, when what was going on, we was in Galveston that day, and I was like, girl, well, we'll come back next time, whatever. I was like, I wasn't worried about the pregnancy, the outcome. I'm thinking it
was gonna be negative.
Yeah, I really thought it was gonna be negative.
I wanted a pina colada. That's what it was.
I said, you don't need next time, right? And just say something I said in a month or
Because
so.
basically on the next day, that following Tuesday, I was supposed to take. So we were like, it's gonna be positive. It's gonna be negative. But we'll just come back and get you.
They both say what? I'm pregnant. But
You were like, what?
So the numbers were so high.
Yeah, because we had 3. That was our 3rd positive test, but like you have to go back every 2 days to make sure they're doubling. And that was our 3rd positive test. So we've had, 2 of the other ones were positive, but then when I went back to the 48 hours later, it decreased down. So that tells you that it's not a viable pregnancy.
This one here,
like through the roof.
the doctor had a cuss workers that she, like 2, because girls in there. We didn't want her. They didn't want her to have 2 babies because it's harder when you're older. Have.
Oh yeah.
Younger, I got a cousin that had twins, and it was very difficult for her. And she was younger, and now at this time, my wife, they didn't want her. Her age. They was like, man, and then it was just Braxton, and then he probably ate that other one. But anyway, go ahead, baby. Whatever you want to say. Actually, the question I forgot.
That's all right.
We've been talking so much, I forgot.
Thing that you were asking us is about just the impact with
Young
teenagers.
Yeah, that's right.
Depression. So I feel like now that just everything is different for as COVID. People interact with other people, and people staying in the house. And people don't have the same social life as they. And it gives you more time to think, And I feel like people aren't used to that. They're not used to being by themselves and always entertained, just bringing it out. And I feel like, as far as it's not just the black, but I feel like
it's not.
that some people look at counseling or anything like that for depression. You know, that's not good. You're crazy if you do that. They look at mental health as, no, you don't need that, and actually, people need that. And it's just sometimes it's just you talk to somebody that doesn't know you, you know, and just about you. You learn so much about you, but the thing is, you figure it out on your own by talking to somebody.
Yeah.
We're getting to the end of our interview. I want to read off some things in the chat section, just a few things, and then Jackie will say something, and then you guys will close it out. Some words that you would like to leave, you know, from this interview with those who are viewing, okay? So y'all will have the last word. So I'm going to read these off right quick. Jackie will come and say a few words, and then you guys will close it out, okay? So some of the comments is saying that since, wow, you have to go through a lot, I would totally be stressed out. So people are understanding that it even sounds stressful because none of us really knew what this in vitro fertilization. Nobody knows it when they don't have to go through it. And now I see how stressful it can be for the both of you. Then someone said, says, laugh out loud. He saved the best for last. Talking about Braxton. And then too funny. So they laughing at you guys. And then another viewer says,
Laughing with you.
Yeah, says, wow, that is God's hand at work. So that's what's on there now. A lot of people come back later and might chat in there. But this has been an awesome interview. Maybe one day y'all can come back and give me another interview. I would really love that.
You know what I would love to
Go
see?
ahead, Jackie.
I would love to see Braxton, you come back as how old is Braxton now?
September 13th.
Okay. I'd like to see him go. I'd like to talk to you when he's going through his terrible twos, when he hits 4, I think that we've got a few interviews with you we're going to have to pre-book. We need to know the challenges that come across and how you, especially, you know, an older mom, you know, you've got an 18-year-old and you've got an infant. Wow. Anyway, I want to thank you so much for agreeing to come on. And I want to make sure that the world knows that these issues with in vitro fertilization and with the mental things that happen, they happen to women and men everywhere, not just in an affluent country like the United States, but in the poorest neighborhoods in Bolivia, in the Appalachian Mountains, in the Ural Mountains, in Ukraine. These are the emotions that we all face. And to know that there are options. If I had known there was an option, I would have applied to Texas Children's and gone to work there no matter what. But I didn't know. I didn't know any. Well, and probably 35 years ago they didn't offer it. But I'm saying, wow, there are options. Thank you for
I
sharing.
admire you guys so much. Hey,
Yeah.
Jackie, can you share with them before they have the last words, the other places outside of the United States? that were
Well,
also-
we know that we have a viewer in the Republic of the Congo. We are on at midnight his time, so he stays up. He tries to stay up and watch us. I just found out a viewer in Côte d'Azur. Côte d'Azur. How do you say that in English? Ivory Coast. So we have a viewer on the Ivory Coast. We have a viewer from Russia, who's been just recently been logging in. And then, of course, we have viewers all over the United States, California, Illinois, Washington,
Florida.
D.C., Washington State, Florida, Georgia, all over. I don't know of a viewer in Mexico yet, but I'll bet you we probably have one. I just don't know about them yet. But
So
your word, your message is going to the world.
Yeah, and we want y'all to know that this is not just something you just coming on and just fly by night. This is actually a purpose, a vision that God gave me. I asked God. I got so much in my head because my husband was a pastor. I said, I got so much in my head. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? I literally, and Jackie will tell you then, like I just broke down crying because I said, I got so much in my head. I got to get this stuff out my head. And I woke up one morning and I'm telling y'all I was in tears. And he gave me this vision of a podcast, talk to the people. Not only that, he showed me how to do. It was specific that celebrities have a platform, but everyday people don't. I want a platform that everyday people can come on and tell their stories. And that's how we got here, outside of spending the whole month of December last year pulling this together. And me and Jackie stand up. Like,
she called me and she said, I think I want to do this. And I said, then we'll do it. And we did.
So that's why we here. Y'all have the closing remarks on tonight. Whatever y'all want to leave with the viewers that see it now or will see it down the road.
Well, I want to say to my wife that she's in that, that, like you said, I found me a wife, woman.
Right.
And,
right.
A lot of times, even back then, I would be shy, didn't want to say nothing. Or not even really shy. I like to talk, but wouldn't express myself, or even the person I'm with or was with. So, that I know God blessed me with this beautiful wife here.
Yes, she is beautiful. She is beautiful.
For her sacrificing for me to have a baby, and just her being this perfect wife in my life and perfect mom.
Perfect. Okay.
Don't get me
We're
wrong.
going to remember you said that.
Oh no, it's always been that way with me. It's just that I didn't know, and I'm starting to find out now that how variable she
really is. Yeah.
And I'm grateful. She didn't teach me only how to be a great husband or father, but she taught me finances. She taught me how to get my credit right. Hey, I start with y'all. I don't care about my credit was 540. My credit $799.
Talk about that later.
But go ahead. I would just want
But
to tell.
no, for me, say that everybody wants everything when they want it, and God has try to control all the situations, and we think we have control of our lives, and we don't. Like, we do not, So He works when He want to work, and that's just how it is. And people have to understand that. And some people say, "Well, I'm done praying." Why are you still praying? Why are you still doing that? Because He still hears us. He still hears us in our heart what we want. And if it doesn't happen, then it's not that time for you. So just to pray, and He will provide. So that's all I can say. He just works on His time, and then prior to it'll be.
Yes.
And
okay.
We're not in control.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank y'all so much for coming on. Like to have y'all back on at another time. I know not this season. We trying to finish this season out. We got the third season will come up. Season 3 will come up, next year. And so, hey, we gotta watch Braxton come on and y'all tell us a few more things in his growing. But it's been an absolute amazing interview with two amazing people. And keep this in mind.
3 amazing people.
Yes, Mr. Braxton. You are a power couple, which makes you a power family. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. All right?
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.